Guy de Saint-Cyr is no ordinary volcanologist. This enthusiast, who has been exploring the world's volcanoes for the last 40 years, takes tourist groups as close as possible to active craters. They're going to camp on one of the world's most inaccessible volcanoes, Erta Ale, one of the 4 lava lakes on the planet. Then on the unique and unpredictable Dalal volcano. Destination northern Ethiopia and the African Great Rift Valley, the huge geographical fault line that cuts almost completely across Africa. At the bottom of this huge trench, the Earth's crust is torn apart by phenomenal tension between 3 plates that part and separate Africa. The Afar Depression is referred to as hot because of the intense volcanic activity. The mythical site of Erta Ale is the only permanently active volcano in this region. Journeys into the heart of the Danakil Depression, a region heated by magma, the world's most chaotic geographical area.
So the volcano Erta Ale is in the Danakil Depression. It's right here. It's not just one volcano. It's called the Erta Ale chain. The Erta Ale chain is all that. But it's the most interesting volcano because it has a permanent lava lake at the summit. Now we're entering the Afar Desert. From here on, we're going to be totally isolated. We'll have to rely only on ourselves. When I say that, it's a reality. 2 years ago, there was an army helicopter that could come if needed. Now it's gone. There's no permit for it. It's impossible. So the slightest injury, and everything gets difficult. If there's a fracture, you can't be evacuated. We have to work it out ourselves. Okay? When you walk, be careful. There are snakes, scorpions, and spiders here. There are plenty of things from here on that can stop us. And when I say it's an adventure, from now on, it's an adventure, because you never know what you'll find down the trail.
They head across the Afar Desert, considered the most inhospitable and hottest desert on the planet. Among other things because of the murderous customs of the Afar warriors, the most frequent of which was castration. The close proximity of Eritrea also makes this part of the world very dangerous. The Afar have never accepted that their territory should be carved up, and political tensions are rife here. The first time that Guy reached the foot of Erta Ale, he defied the ban on travel to the area with the help of the Afar rebels. Today, they respect and appreciate him.
Il s'appelle Guy. Yeah.
I get as much pleasure today, it's maybe the 20th or 30th time I've come here, as I did the first time. Truly as much. And what makes me happy is sharing it with people who are as passionate about it as me, who are like, "Oh, Guy, what's the lava lake like? When do we get there?" I really love it.
Erta Ale was the favorite volcano of Harun Tazieff, who considered it to be the world's most inaccessible because of its geographic isolation, the extreme temperatures, and the hostility of its environment. Erta Ale is a volcano that you have to earn.
For 2 weeks, we've been hoping and hoping. Now we're here at the foot of it. Hopefully, in 5 hours, we'll be up there, at the edge of the lava lake.
For this climb, they're accompanied by a number of guides and soldiers.
Be careful here because there's some rock fall.
At around 3 in the morning, they begin the descent into the huge collapsed crater at the bottom of which lies the Erta Ale lava lake. Beneath their feet, the cool lava is crumbly and brittle. They cautiously follow in Guy's footsteps.
We're 100 meters away from the crater. I want you to stay here for a moment. I'm going to the edge to check everything's okay. Take out the gas masks, keep them handy, and I'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll go look over there because there seems to be an area where the ground is strong enough. But it's surrounded by gases and it's unbearable. So I'll check over there. It should be better. Great! Fantastic! Oh, it's gorgeous. I was scared there'd be too much smoke. There's none. Look! It's gorgeous! Oh, look at it seething. Oh, it's fantastic.
Erta Ale is a unique lava lake. Every volcanologist in the world wants to come and sit on its rim at least once in his or her life. Guy comes to check the condition of the terrain before bringing the group here. He selects an area without too much fracturing. A lava lake is dangerous because of the hazardous concentric fractures around its crater. Permanent minor tremors can cause whole sections of the walls to topple into the lake.
We're nearly there. Hold your breath. We're coming to the edge of the lake. Be careful. Oh, come here. Careful. Look at this. Everything cracks here. Watch out. Come see. Come here. Stay here. Look, see it degassing? Be careful, Fanny. Did you see it? Yeah! Look there!
A lava lake can only exist through the combination of unlikely factors. This lake is a huge mass of magma, fed by an underground source and churned by currents. The very hot magma arrives at the surface, cools, and sinks back down. It's a convection current.
For a lava lake to last for years and years, the heat flow feeding the lake has to exactly compensate the loss of heat on the lava's surface that forms crusts that fall back into the depths. That's a difficult and fragile balance.
As soon as this balance is altered, the lake cools. In 2004, for instance, it remained solid for 20 months. A lava lake is just one moment in the life of a volcano. Erta Ale was born beneath the sea and gradually built itself up around 4 million years ago. The first accounts of a lava lake on this site date from 1890. No one had ever been there, but the red glow in the sky hinted at the presence of such a phenomenon. The first person to observe Erta Ale at close range was Harun Tazieff in 1960.
For Tazieff, this was the love of his life. Really, the love of his life. He was always here. He did 5 expeditions, and they were always 2 months long. But most of all, he was the first to go down inside. They set up a winch, and they went down onto the crater terrace. We're on the edge of the ridges, but the lava is 80 meters below. They went down. They had protective clothing, of course. But they went down very, very close.
The group will spend the night on the rim above the lake, intoxicated by the feeling of the seething earth beneath their feet.
Look at the crust here.
We're only about 7 miles from the border with Eritrea, an area of political instability and bloody wars. It's impossible to come here without a military escort. Guy has spent the whole night by the lake. The group, on the other hand, has pitched camp outside the caldera to sleep for a few hours.
Everything okay? Did you have a good night? Did you get a little sleep?
A little bit, yeah.
Have you taken a look at the caldera? It has an elliptical form, and it's 1,800 meters at its longest point. From there to there, yes. And about 750 meters that way. And there are 2 crater pits. Crater Pit South and Crater Pit North. It's really an exceptional lava lake. It's every volcanologist's dream to see Erta Ale one day. It's considered the most inaccessible volcano on the planet. And you've seen it's true. It's difficult geographically, in terms of permits, in terms of political problems, in terms of heat. Everything's difficult here.
During the day, they'll be able to pitch their camp in the caldera on the cool lava flows, a few yards from the shaft, from which the lava regularly overflows.
We're near the middle of the Erta Ale caldera here. The word caldera is Portuguese for cauldron. In fact, a caldera is an enormous collapsed crater. It takes a huge eruption that empties all or part of the magma reservoir. The magma chamber is empty. Nothing is holding up the roof of the magma reservoir, so the volcano caves in on itself. It collapses and forms a caldera. And this caldera is often about the same size as the magma chamber. Imagine how big that is. Way over there, from the south to the north, and you have 700 meters on both sides.
Et là, vous avez 700 mètres des deux côtés.
For 2 years, lava filled the whole caldera and spilled over the south and north flanks of the volcano.
Erta means the smoking mountain. A far legend says that one must not get too close to its summit because the spirits of the herdsmen surround it with flying horses to prevent any access to it. The group is about 100 yards from the lake. They're walking on slabs of lava that are often hollow and fragile. On the rim, whole sections of the crater walls are ready to give away.
Wherever we walk here, it collapses and cracks. Our feet go through. You have to be careful. I keep telling you, don't walk side by side. Don't put your whole weight on slabs that are often hollow. You have to watch out. Okay, let's go. I'm always really happy to bring people here to see the site, which few people in the world have seen. It's really a special site. It's a mythical volcano because nearly everything here is yet to be discovered. Look, it's opening up. It's opening up. Look. Oh, look at that.
Wow, wonderful.
It's about the 20th time I've come to see the Erta Ale lava lake, and I have to say, I still feel the same emotion. Do you know how many lava lakes there are on the planet's surface? Four. Obviously, there's this one, Erta Ale, Erebus, Nyiragongo, and Hawaii.
The current of hot and light magma rises, flows to the surface, cools, becomes heavier, and sinks back down to the depths, where it dissolves in the rest of the magma.
Don't forget, it's fed by a deep source, which is the magma reservoir, and underneath, the lava that creates the rift.
The current that flows from the right can easily be made out. The magma on the surface of the lake cools, but it's still hot and pliant and so creases under the pressure of the fresh magma that continues to rise to the surface. The first time that Guy reached Erta Ale by land, no one had been there for more than 10 years because the war between Ethiopia and Eritrea made all travel to the area impossible. That was in January 2001. He didn't sleep for 4 days in order to reach the volcano.
I didn't know the Afar region at all. or the Great East African Rift, and I wanted to know it. I wanted to see the great book of geology that is afar, and of course the Erta Ale lava lake. I love seeing this volcano. I've seen it change. I've seen the lava lake at different levels. I've seen it in different conditions. It makes me really happy to come back and see this volcano. The gases are starting to sting a little.
The gases released from the volcano are mainly water vapor, sulfur dioxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, methane, and rare gases such as radon.
Hey, look!
Here, at the North Crater Pit and the South Crater Pit, over a 2-year period, from 1972 to 1974, these two lava lakes spilled over. They spilled over simultaneously for 2 years. The lava flow we're walking on, and all that was glowing. It completely filled the caldera, and then it went down the sides of the volcano, on the south and north flanks. Imagine the caldera. It's huge here.
Fanny is a geology student. She's looking for the hair of Pele, the goddess of fire, force, and creation. The hair of Pele is the name given to these fine particles of hot ash, stretched out by the wind, resulting in these long, thin strands that look like hair.
Here, the weight of time doesn't exist. Here, I feel like we're always at the birth of the world. I'd like to come back here alone, like I always do on certain volcanoes. All alone, just for the pleasure of it, to feel good. But here it's impossible, because with all the transport problems, you can't come alone. What could stop me on a volcano? When the projectiles come too close, or when the lava flow comes too near. But it's true. I try to always push it to the limit. And the limit is not always easy to find. I like pushing it to the limit, where you can still get away with it. You play with the volcano. You go a little closer, you pull back, you go closer, and it's a game. It's a game that can become dangerous, so you have to watch out. You have to stay aware. Can you feel the heat?
We can get really close.
No, it's okay. Yeah, but don't go near it. Stay here.
Of the 600 active volcanoes on Earth, there are only 4 permanent lava lakes. A lava lake is the top of a column of magma exposed to the open air, a glimpse of what is happening at the center of the Earth. This lake is permanently linked to a very deep magma chamber about a mile beneath their feet. All kinds of research can be carried out on a lava lake. For instance, thanks to microphones set up as close as possible to the lake, scientists are able to measure the pressure of the bubbles of gas that rise and burst on the surface. It's thus possible to calculate the depth of the eruptive shaft and at times its diameter.
It's also interesting to have a rangefinder and measure the exact level of the lake. You've seen that between morning and night, there's a variation of several meters, maybe 2 or 3 meters. It's a regular fluctuation every 2, 3, 4 hours. Could be interesting. Aerial photography is important too because you can see the changes in profile of the two pipes. There are landslides, there's subsidence, there are upheavals of tens of centimeters or even meters. It happens. We don't know much about how a lava lake works, or what else it can still teach us. We're really at the beginning. There's so much more to learn. To really learn what happens inside a lava lake, the only way is to go down into the magma chamber. Here, the thickness of the Earth's crust is relatively thin. They think it's less than 5 kilometers, so it would be a perfect place to go inside the pipe, go down into the magma reservoir, and see further down what's happening in the rift. That's a dream.
The adventure continues with the incredible Dalal volcano that lies in the Afar Depression. The group will descend to a depth of 426 feet below sea level in the most unhospitable area of the Danakil Desert. This piece of land torn in every direction by the contours of the Earth's crust.
We've just reached the only watering place in Danakil, so be careful. Danakil, let me remind you, is practically 1/8 the size of France. So water is incredibly precious here. I know it's been a week since we washed, but you can rinse off a tiny bit with your hands, and that's all.
The temperature soon becomes unbearable. From here on, each member of the group has to drink at least 1.75 gallons of water a day. The Ethiopian team loads up as much water as possible because, after this watering point, there's no other water source. The group sets off on an undetermined period in the most hostile and hottest desert on the planet. It takes 2 rough days of travel on desert trails to reach one of the smallest and strangest volcanoes on the planet, Dalal, which stands in the middle of a huge salt lake. Without bearings, driving on the unstable terrain can be very dangerous. Lake Karun lies 393 feet below sea level. The layer of salt can be as thick as 3,000 to 6,000 feet in places. This dried-up salt lake is the result of several incursions made by the sea into this region.
You know, the legend says that here on Lake Karun, only the devil can live because it's so hot. It's just so hot. We have no business here.
The Afar nomads who gather the salt of the Karun go to work at night, when the temperature can nonetheless reach 52 degrees Celsius. Dalal is an oval dome 2 miles long and 1 mile wide, 134 feet high. Its peak is 270 feet below sea level. It's unique and extraordinary as a volcano. To explain its formation, scientists have come up with a theory of the explosion of a pocket of magma located at a very shallow depth.
Look at the layers of salt that have been turned over there. You can smell sulfur here.
The only thing that Dalal has in common with the Earth's other volcanoes is that it's featured on the list of active craters.
This whole flank was active last year, and it stopped, but the activity has shifted to behind there. So you see the salt has crystallized. It's formed cubic crystallization. You can see it, look. This pink shade can be oxides or hydroxides from the iron that colored the salt crystals. You hear that? Be careful. We can fall right through it. It's not just an impression. Leave space between you.
Guy moves cautiously. After exploring the world's volcanoes for more than 40 years, he knows that danger lurks everywhere, invisible and unpredictable.
With the humidity, it's crazy to come here. Look, there's one, look. A little pool of acid. And don't go too close, huh? You don't want to fall through. This is my favorite part of Dalal. You'll see, that's Dalal. Look, that's Dalal. Oh, we're on another planet. Be careful, everything is fragile here. Don't put your leg through it. It's acid. Let's take a look at the pH, okay?
Is there acid everywhere?
Yeah, look at that. The color of the air we're breathing. See that color? Look, it's already pH 2. No point in leaving it for a long time. It's 1. It's 1. It's below 1. It's pure acid. Remember, it's fragile. Look, get down. Look at the thickness. It's 5 millimeters. So, Nico, don't fall through because it could be a meter deep there. Always keep your gas mask handy. It's incredibly dangerous here.
2 years ago, Guy had a close brush with death when he knelt down to take a photo. The odorless and colorless gases in this place are abundant and deadly. All this acid is water that's been acidified by contact with magma gases. Rainwater, abundant in July and August, filters down through the numerous fractures formed by the intense geological activity. In its journey, it becomes heavy with all the minerals that it passes through and that gives it its color. At a depth of around 13,000 feet, it comes into contact with the magma, starts to boil, and acidifies. It returns to the surface in hydrothermal hot springs that well up through the layers of salt. crystallize, and solidify.
I want to see incredible sights that few people have seen. And Dalol seemed like the impossible. Dalol was a challenge. I wanted to see Dalol precisely because people said it was impossible. It's an extraordinary place, but it's one of the most difficult places to get to. Dalol is a salt dome that was raised up by volcanic forces. The rocks that came out of Dalol are hydrochemical rocks. They're hybrid mixes, not lava flows. Dalol is not a traditional volcano. Despite appearances, it's an active volcano. We know the last eruption took place somewhere over here. But to tell you where the crater is, unfortunately we don't know. It was covered over by geothermal activity that deposited all these concretions. The travertines grew up all over the place and gradually covered the crater. Each year I find different sites. We're in a high tension zone with open faults, open cracks, and each time water gets into these cracks and rises up. It takes the easiest route, and if other cracks have opened up in other places, it takes a different route, that's all. I saw a lake here one year. It took nearly 2 hours to walk around the lake. An acid lake, like that. Here in 2 or 3 weeks, there'll be nothing left. It'll be totally dry. Keep far away from these little acid pools, okay? Come see, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. There's nothing like it in the world.
No one studies Dalol. It's impossible to spend time here. Sweat turns into acid, aggressive for the skin and the eyes. The acid-saturated air is unbreathable and attacks the nose and the mouth, all in record temperatures that can reach 58 degrees Celsius in the shade.
Yes, it's unique in the world.
Dalal means dissolve, a name perfectly suited to this unclassifiable site.
Staying here for a long time is incredibly difficult because of the gas that we breathe, the unbearable high temperatures, the atmospheric conditions, the dry air, a constantly shifting earth. There are tectonic adjustments practically the whole time. It's an area that's constantly being created. There we can hear the water, but we can't see it. We hear the acid, but we can't see it. Yes, we can, look. Yeah, it's a fumarole. It's gas, it's very strong. Very strong. Highly acidic.
This whole area is in the process of drying up. The increasingly concentrated acid can barely be seen, hidden beneath layers of crystallized salts. The air, too, is increasingly saturated with acid. As the temperatures rise, all these little ponds dry up. As long as there's water in the depths, the activity continues in Dalal.
Look, Romain, that one at your feet. It's really incredible. It's really stone lace. Salt is a rock. It's a mineral.
Dalal is the incredible result of the interaction between hydrology and volcanism. The magma here lies at a depth of 10,000 feet, and the thermal flow is very important.
Remember to keep enough space between you so you spread out the weight, because the ground is fragile. Spread out a little there. And don't forget, there's acid underneath, and it's hot. Here, it rises fast. We get to 60 or 70 degrees Celsius. Pure acid at 70 degrees Celsius. That's really aggressive. Keep away from it.
Guy has just spotted a new area of activity on Dalal that has only existed for a few weeks, about 10 minutes from the main volcano.
The danger is different. On a traditional volcano, with lava flows or explosive ejections, you don't control the situation anymore, but you understand the danger. Here, the problem is you don't understand the danger, and you don't know where it's coming from. I love coming to see Dalal because I know every time I'll discover new sights. I learn something, but I always worry about bringing people here. Dalal is both heaven and hell.
The Afar themselves say that Dalal is hell. The group leaves the center of Dalal to reach the eastern end of the crater. It too is a totally unexpected sight. We're still on the volcano, but there's no activity here. No fracturing, no gases, no lava projections. Dalal remains an enigma.
Despite appearances, we're still at Dalal. This whole area, which is unlike anything you've seen up to now, is full of canyons. It's a labyrinth of canyons heading in all directions.
A whitish, impermeable cap made up of androphite, gypsum, and clay has protected the layer of salt below from erosion. The runoff water eats away the salt, except for that which lies directly beneath these caps. The project of a national park is understudied to protect this unique setting that is already doing pretty well at defending itself alone. You approach Dalal and leave it again in the same way, on tiptoe. The group's journey to this geological paradise comes to an end. They leave this incredible corner of the world where the earth shapes itself before your very eyes.